Two grandsons dead, one in hospital and his son in detention.
George Odoko made a pronouncement in the church that I have some children and I'm not marrying the mother again. The mother have bewitched all my children to tarnish their life and to tarnish my family's life.
In September 2018, 42-year-old Samuel Sunday Otasi attended a church service at George Odoko Outreach Ministries in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, Nigeria, where Prophet George Odoko was known for his prophecies and spiritual revelations. However, what happened that day would set in motion a chain of events that would end in a very devastating tragedy. During the service, Prophet Odoko allegedly made a shocking declaration to the congregation. He announced that there was a man present who had 3 children and that this man was no longer with the mother of those children. According to the prophet, the mother had bewitched the children, turning them into agents of darkness. The prophet went further, claiming that these 3 children were responsible for all the misfortunes in their father's life. These misfortunes included his illness, his struggles, and everything else that was wrong with his life. Then came the most chilling part of the prophecy. The prophet allegedly directed that the father of these children should use a deadly substance to end their lives. According to him, this was the only way to solve all the father's problems and end his suffering. Samuel Otasi sat in that congregation, and every word felt like it was meant for him. He had 3 children, namely 14-year-old Success Samuel, 12-year-old Miracle Samuel, and 10-year-old God's Time Samuel, all of whom were male children. He was indeed no longer with their mother, and he had been sick for months with no improvement. In his mind, there was no doubt that the prophecy was about him and his sons. Before this prophecy, the 3 boys had been living peacefully with their grandmother in the village. They were normal children, going about their daily lives like any other kids their age. But after the prophet's declaration, everything changed for them. Word spread quickly through the community that the 3 Otasi boys were wizards. Neighbors who once smiled at them now looked at them with suspicion and fear, while relatives who used to show them love began treating them with cruelty and disgust. Even their own father, Samuel, started calling them wizards, blaming them for everything that had gone wrong with his life. The boys were subjected to rejection and abuse. The community that once knew them as innocent children now saw them as evil beings who needed to be dealt with. The psychological damage was unimaginable, but what was coming next would be far worse. On Saturday, December 29, 2018, Samuel made the journey to the village where his 3 sons lived with their grandmother. When he arrived, he told the elderly woman that he wanted to take the boys to Prophet George Odoko's church for deliverance. The grandmother, believing her son had good intentions and also hoping the children could be freed from the accusations hanging over their heads, allowed him to go with them. Samuel brought Success, Miracle, and God's Time back to Yenagoa, where he lived. The boys had no idea what awaited them. They trusted their father, believing he was taking them to be helped, not harmed. That same Saturday, Samuel took the 3 boys to Prophet Odoko's church. However, when they arrived, they were told that the prophet could not attend to them that day. They were instructed to return on Wednesday of the following week, which was the designated deliverance day at the church. Samuel and the boys left, and for the next few days, the children stayed with their father, unaware that their time was rapidly running out. When Wednesday finally arrived, Samuel told his sons that they would be returning to the church for their deliverance session. His younger brother, Levi Aya, who had traveled with him from the village, was also present. The boys prepared themselves, likely feeling a mixture of fear and hope. Then, Samuel, Levi, and the 3 boys boarded a bus heading toward the church. The children sat quietly, probably thinking about what the deliverance session might involve. But as the journey progressed, things began to feel really wrong. When they reached a lonely and bushy area along Glory Drive Road at Ibogene in Yenagoa, Samuel and Levi told the driver to stop. They got off the bus with the 3 boys and began walking. But instead of heading toward a church, they turned toward the thick bush that lined the roadside. The boys must have been confused, but they trusted their father and continued the journey. They went deep into the isolated bush, far from where anyone could see or hear them, and then stopped. There, Samuel and Levi restrained the 3 boys and forced them to ingest a harmful chemical. Afterwards, Samuel and Levi abandoned the boys in the bush, expecting the worst to happen. But Success, the eldest of the 3 brothers, was not ready to give up. he managed to loosen the ropes that held him, and though weak, he made his way toward the road, hoping to find help. Fortunately, an officer from the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency happened to be passing by when he spotted something lying on the roadside. As he got closer, he realized it was a young boy lying unconscious and barely breathing. The officer immediately rushed him to a medical center where doctors began emergency treatment to save his life. When Success finally regained consciousness, the medical staff asked him what had happened. Through tears and pain, the 14-year-old told them the unthinkable truth. He explained that his father had harmed him and his two younger brothers, and that Miracle and God's Time were still in the bush and needed help immediately. The police were contacted right away, and officers rushed to the location Success had described. They searched through the bush, following the trail back to the spot where the boys had been left, but they were too late. When the officers found Miracle and God's Time, both boys were already gone. Their remains were recovered from the scene and then transported to the mortuary. Meanwhile, a manhunt began for Samuel Otasi and his brother Levi Aya. The very next day, police arrested both men and took them into custody for interrogation. The evidence was overwhelming, but Samuel refused to accept responsibility for what he had done. During questioning, Samuel told a completely different story from what his only surviving son had described. He claimed he had no idea about what had happened to his children and also insisted that he did not know why he was being arrested. According to Samuel's version of events, he had gone to the village on Saturday, December 29, 2018, to collect his children so they could attend a program at George Odoko Outreach Ministries where he worshipped. When he arrived at the church that same Saturday, he was told to return on Wednesday, which was the deliverance day. Samuel claimed that since he had to wait until Wednesday, he told his younger brother Levi to take the boys back to their grandmother in the village. He said he gave Levi 1,000 naira for transportation and then left. According to him, he was arrested on Thursday morning and had no knowledge of what had happened to his sons after he handed them over to his brother. Samuel ended his statement by declaring that he could never imagine a father harming his own children in such a way. He painted himself as a confused and innocent man who had been wrongly accused of a terrible crime. But Success, lying in his hospital bed and recovering from the substance that nearly killed him, told a very different story. The 14-year-old boy gave a clear and detailed account of what really happened. He explained that his father came to their grandmother's house to collect him and his brothers, telling them they were going to a church in Yenagoa. But when they reached the road, his father and uncle took them into the bush instead. There, they tied all three of them and forced them to consume the chemical. Success described how he managed to free himself and then make his way toward the roadside, where he was rescued and taken to the hospital. His account directly contradicted everything his father had said, and it matched the physical evidence the police had gathered from the scene. Samuel Otasi was detained pending legal proceedings. The authorities were building a case against him for the deaths of his two sons and the attempted killing of the third. However, despite the fact that Prophet Odoko's alleged prophecy had triggered this entire tragedy, the prophet himself was never arrested or charged in connection with the case. This raised serious questions about accountability and the role of religious leaders in such situations.
George Odoko made a pronouncement in the church that I have some children and I'm not marrying the mother again. The mother have bewitched all my children to tarnish their life and to tarnish my family's life. That a owner of a son, children, will buy a and poison them and kill them.
My father bring a roof from his pocket and give to Levi. And Levi and I tie me and my brothers down and give us this to drink. I use my head and my legs to crawl out from the bush and now managed to escape.
The boy's grandmother was devastated by what had happened, and speaking through tears, she explained that she had been taking good care of the children after their father brought them to live with her following his separation from their mother. She could not understand how her own son had turned into someone capable of such evil. The elderly woman blamed the incident on the devil, saying that dark forces wanted to destroy her family. She insisted that her son Samuel was not a violent person and wondered how he had suddenly changed from the child she raised into someone wicked enough to destroy his own children. What are your thoughts on this heartbreaking case? Should religious leaders who make such dangerous prophecies be held accountable? Share your opinions in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more true crime stories.